Everybody, and welcome. I am Lori Putnam, and I am your guest host for a whole week. Eric is off doing something crazy that he may not even want us to know about. But welcome to the show. And today I have a very special guest, Dawn Whitelaw. Cannot say enough good words about this woman. I give her credit for instructing me on how to become a painter. Welcome, Dawn. Can you tell us a little bit about what you're going to show us today?
I can, Lori. I'm going to do two things. The first one is painting on the brown paper with oils, just a few technical things. And the second is a little color mixing with my palette. But I have to tell you this. I got into the painting on the brown paper in such a backdoor way. Pam Pageant took Scott Christensen workshop, and she came back and said Scott was doing color studies on brown paper, and she gave me this little brown paper sketchbook. And I thought, oh, I don't know. I'm not sure I have time to do that, but I'm going to paint a couple and then thank Pam. And so I painted a couple, and it's like, okay, this is kind of interesting. So I painted another one, and then by the time I got a few pages into the sketchbook, I was totally hooked. So to find something so pivotal in your painting that comes so random and so beautiful that it came from a friend is very special to me. So that's what I'll be doing.
Well, that sounds awesome. So let's just get the show started, shall we?
It's Art School Live with Eric Rhodes. Now, here's your host, Eric Rhodes.
Hi again. Obviously, I'm not Eric Rhodes. This is not an April Fool's Day joke. I'm Lori Putnam, and I'm going to be your host all week long on Art School Live. Today's guest, Dawn Whitelaw, is going to be teaching us all the wonderful things she learned about painting on brown paper. But before we get to that, I want to tell you that today's prize is a pair of value specs. And if you would like a chance to win those, please be sure to tell us your name and where you're watching from in the comments section while our video plays. And so just put your name, where you're watching from, and the show winner from the last show is Peter Horsberg from England. You have won a one-year digital subscription to Fine Art Connoisseur magazine. So just send an email to asl@streamlinepublishing.com and let them know, and they will be happy to get all of that set up for you. Today, we also have a gift for you. It's completely free, and it is 97 Incredible Art Secrets. So just go to 97artsecrets.com/free, and you can get that wonderful ebook. And don't forget to subscribe at Art School Live on YouTube and at Eric Rhodes on Instagram. And make sure that you get to see all of the wonderful videos that have been done in the past, the live Art School Live, as well as the ones that we're going to be doing this week. So with that, I'm going to hand it back to Dawn. Take it away.
Yep. All that. Can you paint from there?
Yep. Okay. You should be seeing my little piece of brown paper on the screen. I'm going to try not to hit the tripod, but we'll see how that goes. So I am doing this a little larger than usual. Usually these are about 3 by 5. This is about 4 by 6 just for the camera. So I sketched it off because I'm in a little bit of an awkward painting position here. And so
Dawn,
uh-huh.
Dawn, I'm not sure if you are able to do this. Can the camera just tilt up just a little bit, or are we at our max?
No, I think we can tilt up.
There. Just a little bit more if you can.
Now, okay, hang on.
Can you do it a little taller?
Okay, taller
Yeah,
or lower.
we're kind of missing the top of the sketch there. So if we could see more of the top
Okay,
of the sketch, if
all
that's
righty.
possible.
How's that?
Little bit more if it's possible. I know you have to be somewhere. This is the awkward part.
I know, it's all right. It's not important.
We
You
can
know,
see the very top. We can't see some of the notes that are at
oh,
toward the
that's
top.
okay.
Okay, all right.
They're
All right.
Thank
Thanks.
you. They're just for me. So, but what I want to say here is I'm looking at my pencil drawing, not at my reference. I kind of I did do the drawing from the reference, but then I might want to adjust a couple of these lines to make some better shapes. And there's a couple of random marks in here. So my outside edge is a little bit fluid because it's on the paper, and that's one of the beautiful things. I have a sort of a target size, but I don't have to stay in the lines, which is pretty fabulous for me. Now, one wonderful thing about painting on the brown paper is, since it's a middle value, I can start with a light instead of starting with the darks, which is more traditionally what you do with oil paint. So I am mixing up a color for the light. Now let's see if I can figure out how to get in here and get it on there.
So when you put that light on there, you can really tell how light it is against that brown paper. What value would you say that brown paper is? Do you know?
It's a little lighter than mid. I
Okay.
don't know what number it is, but it's just a little lighter than mid.
Okay.
And so I know that. So, and the wonderful thing about painting on the paper is I can just go ahead and fill in this big shape, and then I can
Yeah.
come back in right on top of it. Now, you know, they're beautiful gouache sketches people are doing on paper, and
Hmm.
I mean, that's wonderful. For me, I like using the oil because I've got the oil out all the time. It's just convenient.
So
And
does it sink in and kind of dry? Is that why you can go right back over on top, or?
almost immediately.
Mm.
And so I wind up using a synthetic little um, long brush. That little square tip helps me, and which really works great for me. I don't have to be too careful with this. What I'm looking for is a beautiful pattern of lights. I've got these three light shapes, and then there is sort of a little random bit of light, which I'm going to mark with this very light value over here. And so that sort of gives me a nice rhythm of the shapes. I think I want to make this one a little more vertical.
I was
Maybe
noticing how nice they are all different. It's not
yes.
like you just randomly dotted in some stuff. And
Well, yeah, go ahead.
uh, sorry, we just had a quick question. Somebody wants to know what kind of paper it is, and if you use the matte side of the paper. It's just brown paper. It's like craft paper, right?
It's look for any 60-pound craft paper sketchbook. The one Pam gave me was Borden and Riley, but there are many good brands. I find some of it at Michael's sometimes, and
Okay.
so it's. But you're going to find a surface of that brown paper that you like better than another, and so
Okay.
you just
All
have
right.
to explore. So I've sort of divide my sequence this way that I start with the lights on this paper, which is kind of fun. So I believe my biggest next my big light shape is the sky, and it's such a big piece that I'm going to drop that in. So I'm mixing this sky, general sky value right next on my palette to where I mix the very lit front of the barn, so I can compare the two.
Mm.
That makes it, that way there is contrast between the sky and the lit front of the barn. And so I've got something here that may be okay. And I'm going to lay it in there. And I think I want a little more contrast. But then let's see. I think that's going to work. Hey, it's just a little piece of paper, and if I
Yeah,
want to change it, I want to
yeah,
change it. I would change it. It's not a $35 panel,
yeah,
um,
yeah.
which shouldn't be a huge thing, but sometimes it's just, I like being able to say, well, I can probably do several of these in an hour, and if this um, doesn't go to my liking, I can just change it. So I'm shifting the color. I'm going to try to hold the value just the same, and that is a function of what's happening on my palette. So the appeal of this scene is, of course, that beautiful evening light, which lasts minutes, maybe seconds. And so it's, by the time I got my paint gear out, this would be gone away. And I have some little cloud shapes drawn in. I'm just going to paint over them. Maybe I should paint around them, but I didn't. Um, we'll find out.
I
So,
love that.
yeah.
I love how forgiving you're being with yourself
Okay.
on this brown
Whoops.
paper. This is great.
No, but honestly, this is what I would do. So it's full disclosure here. So I have enough paint on here that I can absolutely get in there and blend that sky out a little bit. So I think
And
that is plenty.
you're
Go
just
ahead.
using straight paint, right? Just right out of the tube.
Yeah, and if it's not going on the brown paper, it means I don't have enough paint on my brush.
Mm.
Because if
No,
you get enough paint on your brush, it just slides on there beautifully. There's a little connector here that is a little lighter than my brown paper, so I'm going to slip it in here. And that the side of that barn is receiving a little light, and I got out of the line, so I'll go back and patch that up a little bit. Laura, you don't ever get out of the lines, do you?
you know, I've told that story before. My first grade teacher slapped me outside my face because I colored out of the lines.
Well, you've overcome that a little bit, I think.
Mm. Hey guys,
So
just while she's doing this, I wanted to say really quickly, if you want to see her work, please visit her website at dawnwhitelaw.com and see some of her beautiful finished works. I love these sketches and I want to take all of them home with me, but you're going to want to go to her website and take a look there.
well, for a good while, these sketches have been the basis of my larger work, and it's been transformative for me. And if you missed it before, it really came about because a friend was generous and shared some information with me, and then I was off and running. So now I have the lighter pieces in. I'm going to go in and put in the darker pieces. So in the photograph, the darker pieces are pretty inky black, but when I paint outdoors, I see the darks are much lighter. So I am making these darks a little bit lighter, a little bit darker than my brown paper, but not a lot. I can always go back in and make them darker. And so this is when these trees struck by that evening light are so very orange. And I'm just mixing some orange and green together. And there are a lot of nuances, but for my job right now, I'm just getting a base value and color in. And you're saying, is anybody thinking, oh, well, it's so tiny, I don't have room to get in all I'm seeing? Well, if you're saying that, that is exactly the idea here. You
That's why
don't
you need
have
to be
room.
doing this.
Exactly. That's the whole point, that I can't put in all the little nuances and I have to go for the big pieces. Now, it's a shame I have to trick myself that way, but I'm just being honest with you. I do. Um,
So does that,
it's
so I have a question. Do you
Mhm.
sometimes not, well, this is kind of loaded, so warning. Do you sometimes like these little sketches better than the finished piece that you do from them later?
Oh, let's say 100% of the time. So, if I needed to get something out of my studio to preserve, it would be these stacks and stacks of these little sketchbooks I have.
And you know
And
my address.
yeah, well, they are, it's so lovely that when you start to paint something, to be able to go thumb through some of those little sketchbooks and just see what excites you that day. Now I'm putting in another piece that's about the same value of what I put in for the trees. So I'm mixing it right next to it, and I got it a little too dark, and I'm going back in and lining it up. So, I think I have to tell you this. This is art school live. Well, I've never been to art school. Um, just
That makes me feel
full
so much better.
full disclosure, and I'm telling you that because I'm a product of the workshop system. So many wonderful teachers, have been available to me, and I'm going to take a workshop in a week or two. It's that, along with things like Art School Live, that presents such interesting information from a variety of painters, is pretty fantastic for those of us where art school was not an option for me when I started really transitioning between graphic design and painting at about 35. I couldn't take off and go do art school, but I could do workshops. And so um, I think don't ever be ashamed that I'm not anti-art school. It's a wonderful thing. It just was not a thing in my life.
And I just have to take 2 seconds of your time to say that that is one of the things that kind of gave me some hope when I first met you, because I was 35 and, to me, and I met you and was so amazed with, at that time, I knew you more as a portrait painter. Um, and some people may not even know that. That's funny. But
Yeah.
because of you, I just have to say, because of you, on April Fool's Day, today is my work anniversary. And I thought starting a fine art career on April Fool's Day was fitting. So thank you for that.
It's we have so many beautiful options out there, and so much of the instruction is available free of charge, or it's just a great time to be a painter. And I
Yeah, like
love,
this. Yeah.
yeah, um,
I mean, this is totally free of charge, and you're volunteering your time, and thank you for that.
oh, it's
Somebody is asking about your color palette. You'll get into that a little later, right?
I'm going to show you
Okay.
that extensively. Now I've got dark masses in, and I'm going to drop in some darkest darks just to help keep me um, I want to see my extremes. I'm really not going to go lighter than this. And these darks, I think, will make these trees that are painted in kind of a dark value seem like they're lit. And I'm really putting these in where I want them to be more than where they are, because I can. And I've got to go back and think about shapes here. So I left this piece because to me it seemed to be most nearly the value of the brown paper. And now I look at this value here and I think I might go a whisper darker than that. But this value here, it gives me a clue. I think those middle values are so difficult to nail. And I think they're
Yeah.
so important to the success of the painting that on this brown paper, I can save those. Now, this is just a test. Well, I hit that pretty good. That's about the value. I'm going to go.
I think you've done this a few times in your life.
but listen, that doesn't mean I'm going to hit it. And that's why I test it out. I'm going to go just a tiny bit darker. And that green has a good bit of red in it. So let's test this out. Whoops. Spoke too soon. Now that is about right. This is the hardest value in the whole painting. Now I'm not, on this sketch, I'm not worried about some of the small information, little details. If I get these big values right, I can sort that other part out really pretty easily. But if I don't get this right, there's no need to even mess with getting the other little bits of information in because nobody's going to care.
Yeah.
It's not going to work. But that feels, I'm sort of pretending to back up in my mind here. You know, the reason I love those little floaty clouds is because everything here is kind of static. You know, don't have a lot
Yeah.
of diagonals. And then if
Yeah.
you come in, and I'm trying to get
Somebody wants to
value.
know if you ever do these on location or just in the
Yes,
studio.
that is such a great question. And I do them on location. I was just down at Plein Air South and did them on location. And so this is the exciting thing to me. If you look through my book, you won't be able to tell which ones were done on location and which from photographs. And
That's awesome.
that's huge for me. Now I know because I was there, but
Yeah.
you won't be able to tell. But a lot of times on a painting trip, how lovely is it just to pack these sketchbooks and
Yeah.
no panels.
Yeah. That's huge.
Now though my little clouds are green, but that's okay. I'm I feel really good about the value. And
I
then
wondered if
there's
you knew that.
I was hoping that it wouldn't show up, but then when I got it on there, they were green. And then there's some light struck trunks back in there. And there is, there's stuff on the buildings. I'm not worried about that. I'm going to adjust that one tiny color a little bit. Now I haven't used any solvent or medium on this paper, but you just have to get comfortable with that yourself. Well, that's green too, so I'm just going to leave it. So let me just tell you, technique wise, this one little thing. If you needed some linear detail on these sketches, and I'm just doing this for demo purposes, I just come in with a pencil and do whatever I want. I also can this is a guide. It's not. Uh, it's it's what it is. It's to help me. And if a little bit of pencil work in there makes it work, then I'll just drop in a couple of tiny windows, which if I had more time, I would paint orange. But you get the idea of what you can do with the pencil.
Wow.
So, um, that's a quick one, but
Yeah.
these are quick, and I can build a painting from this.
Well, that's my next question is, so then if you take this
Hmm.
and you decide to make, you know, a not a baby painting out of it, then do you do you get caught up then in minutia? I mean, how do you keep it from getting take this little thing and get it onto a bigger thing?
Well, it's really pretty easy. I just have to trick myself at every turn. So I don't use the reference. I just use this. If I feel like that my drawing here, like I'm not in love with those little cloud shapes, I'll just take us on this same piece of paper, I'll take a pencil and just draw those shapes. I'll get
Mm,
everything I need, and then the reference will only be something I refer to or not.
or not? Mm,
And Laura, it's just the minute I don't have that reference, all of a sudden my heart and mind and soul open up, and I paint what it felt like to be there, not what.
yeah.
It's not a catalog of what was there. It's what it made me feel like, and that's what I'm trying desperately to get in the larger paintings.
Do you always do you only use this method like for landscapes, or do you use it for other subjects?
Yeah, I'd use it for portraits too, and I will block in the portrait completely from the little color sketch. And then,
Wow.
I can always go on top of that and correct drawing or particulars from the reference. Like I refer to the reference, I
Yeah.
refer to
Right.
it. It's not
Right.
my boss, not my
Yeah.
boss.
Ah, man, why we do let it do that, don't we?
It's so easy, and this is my bridge to keep me from getting knotted up in things I was really not even interested in.
Yeah,
Uh,
right.
well,
Well, is
I,
this like okay time then to take a little break before you
yeah,
go to the next thing, and I can just talk a few minutes about some things that I need to cover. Um,
go
and
for it.
We'll be right back to you, okay?
Okay.
So, everybody, this year's plein air convention, if you do not know what that is, I'm not sure what rock you've been living under. The 5 day plein air convention, an expo with over 80 renowned instructors, is sold out. Sad news, I know. But the dates are May 20th through 24th, so take a look at your calendar. And if you would like to be placed on the waiting list, you can do that. And so you just go to pleinairconvention.com for more information and be able to get on that list. I can tell you the Great Smoky Mountains are not all that far from me. And so you're going to be amazed, honestly, at how beautiful that area of the country is. For those of you who got a seat, congratulations, because it's going to be a great one. Uh, so be sure and get yourself on that list for the Great Smoky Mountains and the Biltmore Estate coming up this May. And also, if you haven't yet, you're going to want to go buy Dawn's video, Sketchscapes from Study to Studio. This is, first of all, the painting on the front is one of my favorite paintings of Dawn's, and it's a fabulous video. I can't say enough about it. And so I hope that you'll go and get that. Obviously, I want you to take a look at my video, which is Bold Brushstrokes and Confident Color. This video was shot quite a while back, and I have to say I'm still very proud of the message that's in this video, and I think it's great, particularly for someone who is who needs a little confidence out there painting. You can find both of those on painttube.tv/ASL. And while you're at it, go there and take a look at my book. I've got a book there as well. Lori Putnam so far. It's 200 pages of stories and paintings, and it's printed on really nice paper. And the opening matter is from some of my favorite people in the world, and you'll recognize those names there. If you just go and take a look at that, it's at that same website, painttube.tv/ASL. So now, if we could, let's get back to Dawn
Want
and
me to stand
another
and put my foot on
lesson.
this?
Okay, Dawn, here you
Want me
go.
to stand and put my foot on this, or are you feeling crazy?
Yeah, I'm here. Lori, kind of help me with how this palette is framed
Sure,
up.
sure.
Can you see my knife here?
I sure can, and I can see most of your colors at the top. They're just barely cut off.
Okay, I think that's fine. So
Okay.
if I get like mixing down here and you can't
Yeah.
see it, just let me
No,
know.
we can. Yeah, we're
Okay.
good.
All right. So the reason I wanted to talk about this palette is because I was just at Plein Air South, and most of the uh, faculty members there use a split primary palette, which is very popular, and I'm not anti that split primary, a warm and cool of each primary, but I have trouble using it. And so I use a little bit different palette. People use split primary or full palette, and I don't see too many people using a primary secondary palette, which I think is pretty easy to use. So I just wanted to preach a little bit about that.
This
So
is what you taught me on, and I learned so much about color and value and the way it all works from painting with this palette for years and years and years. I think it's so overlooked. Thanks for sharing this extra tip.
well, frankly, I was just going to use it for a little while, and I'm, decades later, it works with my brain. So what I have here is yellow, red, and blue from a tube. I have transparent red oxide because it plays well with all of these colors, and I have some Prussian here because ultramarine is kind of limited, especially in a light value. So, and I just got this little dab of Prussian down there, and I might not ever use it, but it's there in case.
You didn't have those on the
Hmm.
palette when we first started working together. And I know that we try to be careful, not to give anybody too much credit one way or other as far as supplies, but we have talked a lot, and in a workshop I was in last week, we talked a lot about the differences in different brands, particularly of yellow.
Yes.
A cad yellow light in one brand is totally different than a cad yellow light in another brand. So, for the sake of this demonstration, do you mind telling us what those brands are you're
No,
working with?
my tube colors are from Blue Ridge because I found a perfectly balanced set of primaries. But honestly, you can find that with any brand. So what you're
Okay.
looking for is a yellow that makes both a beautiful orange and a beautiful green. So like a more lemony yellow makes not as useful of a green. You want a red that makes a beautiful orange and a beautiful purple, and a blue that pretty this is the easy one. It's pretty much get ultramarine in any brand.
Yeah.
It's going to be a little bit different color, but you can come up with this, and the proportions would vary with the brand. Like in my brand, it's mostly yellow and a touch of red, but you can work all that. But let me just show you how it works. So I mix most of my colors from these secondary colors, which I make yellow, I'm making the secondaries. And this little green is, to me, a fabulous, useful green, um, ultramarine, and yellow that's like a crayon, not too green, not too orange. And but if you don't want to mix the secondaries, then buy some cadmium orange, dioxazine purple, and probably some permanent green or permanent green light. And I would probably favor permanent green light. You don't have to mix them. I just like the ones I mix better than the ones I can find in the tube. But so here I am just mixing some orange with some purple. And that is a very beautiful, complex color. I mean, you can buy that in a tube, and the color shows up a little weird on my screen here, but that's okay. You get the idea. So I'm going to take the orange and this mixed green, and that is a very lovely, natural green, I think. And then
Yeah.
if I mix, let me put right next to that purple in the green. And look at this beautiful shift in color. So you're not adding a lot of weird pigments, but it makes,
Very
I don't know.
harmonious.
They're very harmonious, they're very useful, and they're very easy to access these colors. And so let me show you some primary, secondary mixtures. I think a dark yellow is hard to come by unless you
Yeah.
get it. I am not anti the tube, but I can take this yellow and the tiniest bit of purple,
Oh,
and
wow. That's beautiful. Now
so
you go ahead and mix your secondaries like on your palette. You don't take
ev-
pre-mixed, pre-filled tubes of ones you've mixed, right?
no, I just mix them, and if I could buy them, I would buy them. I don't love mixing them, but I love having them. I mean, and there's no shame in just getting some tubes. Now I can take this darker yellow and push it a little bit different direction on the color wheel with the addition of orange. So look at, these three colors. And because the
Wow.
pigment mix is simple, um, I don't know, it's just, this is just makes more sense to me because
Yeah,
these are spaced sort of evenly around the color wheel, and
sure.
split primary, they're not, and I'm not against that. I just have trouble with it. It's just I spend too much time mixing. So I'm going to take. I'm doing a lot of greens because they seem to be problematic. I
Well,
take my
especially with people going to the go to the convention.
yes.
You better be ready to paint green.
Oh yeah, welcome to Tennessee, people. We
Yeah,
got
that's
us we
right.
got us some green. So here
Yeah.
is just that mixed green. And is that too low for you to see, Lori? Do I
No,
need
we can
to?
see it fine. It's
Okay,
great.
but I mean that's a boutique color. That tube might cost you a lot, but it's just so easy. It's so easy to make here. Um, how am I doing on time here, Lori? You tell
You are
me.
doing great. I'm going to let you know when you're down to 10 minutes, but you've still got plenty of time. So
Okay,
you got about 15 minutes so far
and
left.
oh, okay. Well, we may slow down here a little bit. Um, and so the transparent red oxide, I just I tell you, I added it in because I needed something to give me a beautiful gray really quickly. I'm just putting some white in that so you can see it, but a mixture of it got invited. It got invited to the palette, but not at the big table. It's over at the kids' table still, because of I can get a beautiful neutral that I can swing toward blue or toward brown. Look, it
Yeah,
almost matches that palette, almost
yeah.
disappears. So that's why it got invited. But then I began to find out how beautiful this transparent red oxide is with all of these colors. So I'm going to just scooch this down. And a beautiful mixture to me is if I take my mixed purple. like I say,
Look how
doxazine.
beautiful that purple is. I
Isn't
mean,
it
that's
good?
amazing. That proves that red's playing well, doesn't it?
It
Otherwise, it's
does.
kind of a browny color.
And so let me say this about the red. I would recommend a synthetic red uh, over, say, alizarin or cadmium red light because of this purple. This red will make a nice orange and a nice purple. So
So, do
here's
you
this.
use Pyrrole or Napthol, or what do you use?
I think brand, according to the brand, one of those will work. They're very similar to each other, and just see which one you like.
Yeah.
Here is transparent red oxide, which I'm going to drop a little of that into the purple, and it's this low chroma red violet,
Mm,
which I find just really pretty yummy.
mm.
And but and so, like I say, it got invited because its ability to make neutral, and then I began to see possibilities of. I think I'll lighten that up just a tiny bit.
You've got about 10 minutes, Dawn.
Okay. I'll,
Um,
I'll,
I want to say about this too, and for anybody out there who paints in plein air, just think how much lighter your backpack is going to be if you only have 3 tubes in white instead of 39 tubes and 4 whites.
well, I have to say that I take the 3 plus white, but also pack my transparent red oxide. And the Prussian's just sitting here. But when you need it, you really need it. I want to show you. Well, here is there again. It's just a beautiful neutral green. I'm looking out my window here at the studio, and I see that color out there everywhere. It was so hard to make, so you mix these two and a little white. you know that you can't get easier than that. So let me show you this with the green. Go ahead, Lori.
Somebody, I think maybe they just came in a little late or something. We have somebody asking 2 questions. If you don't mind answering those again. One is, do you use when you were doing the brown paper sketch,
Mm-hmm.
did you use any solvent or was it direct paint? You said it was direct paint, right?
Yep. Yep.
Okay. And the other is, do you mind just telling again what your main colors are, the three
Yeah.
colors? Um, and then, of course, we know that you've mixed your orange, violet, and green from
Yeah.
those.
So you can come up with a set of primaries with any brand. I like Blue Ridge for the consistency of the paint, and these colors, the yellow, red, and blue, were just so perfectly balanced, so I could get beautiful secondaries. And I mainly mix out of these secondaries because I want them to be beautiful. Or you can buy those tubes: cadmium orange, doxazine purple, permanent green light. In Blue Ridge, this is cad yellow medium. In Gamblin, it's cad yellow period. In Utrecht, it's cad yellow light. This
Yeah,
is naphthol red. You could use pyrrole and ultramarine blue, which is freakishly different brand to brand. So shop around and find one that you like. So I just wanted to show you this green, mixed green and white, which makes this lovely, lovely color green. It's very natural.
yeah,
And I can take
yeah.
this same green, and instead of using white, I can lighten it with yellow. And it is also
Greener than
very
anything that's natural, right? I mean, you don't need anything greener than that.
well. I'm looking out my window, and this is what I'm seeing are these two colors sitting next to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. And um, so by intentionally just lightening this with white and then lightening this with
Mm.
yellow, I get this beautiful shift. I'll do one more. I'm going to lighten it with orange.
Wow,
And there
that's pretty.
it is, and you can get there.
I could do this all day.
I
Can you
know.
stay all day?
Yeah, just sit here and mix these colors. I sure can. Um,
Somebody wants to know, like with that red,
mhm,
how close to a magenta-like color can you
can't
expect to get?
you can't. So
Okay,
I mean, you just can't. So if I need something magenta, and generally it's magenta enough for the natural world, but if somebody has on a magenta dress, it's not going to
yeah,
work.
okay.
So let me just show you how this red tints up. It holds its chroma more than a natural red pigment like
It's
alizarin
really
or
pretty.
cadmium. It is, but I can't really get magenta. I'll pull out some quinacridone or something if I need it, but I can't
That
even
looks
remember.
pretty magenta, depending on what it's next to, I bet. You could
Exactly,
get away with it.
exactly.
Yeah.
You know, I
Got
try
about
to get,
5 minutes.
well, let's see, Lori, what do we want to talk about here?
Well, you can keep mixing, or somebody, and it might be too much trouble. I'm not sure that you can do it, but somebody wanted to know if by any chance there is a painting that's easy to get to that shows one of your sketches that went to a bigger piece. Or
No, but
you could just keep mixing if you want. I'm
well,
enjoying.
there's we can't get there from here.
Okay.
But if you look on my website, I would say most of the paintings on there have been done with this palette and with the
Yeah.
brown paper bag sketches. But the
Wow.
paintings get done and they go away. I still have the sketches, but
I
listen.
have a question. I have a
Mhm.
question about your color. So what happens, well, how does that orange hold up if you need to lighten it and
Yeah,
you're not trying to go a lot more yellow?
yeah. It I think it's beautiful, but that's me. So white has such a bad rap, but if you learn to come in with this much white in a very controlled way, it makes colors just bloom sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's,
That's
as
so
I
good.
add the white, it gets pinker and pinker, which is so much fun, I think. Let's see, I think it'll eat a little bit more.
Eat a little bit more. I love that term.
Look,
That's so
so
good.
so Lori, see that's it
Yeah.
looks, and I
Yeah.
think it'll eat a little bit more. So let me just give you this tip. Each one of your colors in your palette, no matter what palette you use, have a point at which the white has killed the color. And each one of these has a different point of that. And it would be
Right.
a really good exercise to take each color and run some tints and say, ultramarine especially, you get a certain value of lightness. All the color of ultramarine has gone away.
Yeah.
That's when I get my
Yeah.
friend Prussian down here. But and yellow, surprisingly, to me is, um, I would always put a speck of white in that. It just, that color just, it's more radiant to me with that little bit of white in it. But the thing is, I took time to take every one of my colors and see now how
Mhm.
much white can I add
Mhm.
and when does the color start to drop out. And so I'm equipped with that. And because I just have a few colors, it's easy for me to remember.
So let me ask about your little blue over there that doesn't get to play very often.
Um,
So do you use that like I mean, do you mix it with your ultramarine or do you use it by itself or
so
both?
just whatever I need,
Yeah.
you know. Um, because ultramarine just is so weak.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
drops out. That sometimes a little boost of that, or sometimes I need something a little more yellow green, a little
During
more
spring in Tennessee for
yeah,
sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
just a little
Awesome.
more that. And so it's so I just use what I need, and I think that's what your palette should look like, is
Yeah.
see what works for you. If you love that split primary palette, you go for it. I just have it and I get confused. So that's why I'm doing this, because this is kind of like your what's in your kitchen. I have
Yeah.
certain staples, and you might need something
Yeah.
that I never need, and I think that it's good to you
Yeah.
to find your own palette, something that you love and makes sense to you. And
Yeah, we
so
have people all the time surprised we don't have a salad spinner, so I get it.
and hey, I've got one and I used it Saturday. So, you
So
know,
there you go. Well, Dawn, this
but
has just been such a fabulous, fabulous lesson, and it reminds me, just how much it is, how fun it is to mix colors. Um, while you kind of get the camera back on your little face, I just want to
uh-oh.
remind everybody that off of your palette and on your face. I want to remind everybody to visit Dawn's website at dawnwhitelaw.com and take a look at her wonderful paintings. Find a workshop. She is an amazing instructor, and I know her workshops are almost all full for the year, so do that quickly. I'm supposed to plug myself, so go to laurieputnam.com and take a look at my work, and maybe you can see how Dawn has influenced me through the years. And I just cannot say enough about what she has done for my instruction. And so if any of you have a chance to learn from her, please don't hesitate. Take her up on that. I want to thank everybody for tuning in today. Dawn, are you
Just
back with us now?
I don't know. We'll see. We didn't anticipate this. Am I on there?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, you're on. You're on.
Part.
And I just want to thank you. Do you have any last words of wisdom?
No, I don't. Except for this. Lori and I just lost a dear friend, and I'm just going to say your friends are special and love on them.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. That's a good thing to think about. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Dawn. And you have given us a lot of good information today. If you have a chance, I know you've got a lot on your plate, but if you have a chance, you might want to visit the chat on Facebook and see if there were any questions that I missed and
Oh,
answer them.
yeah.
If you can get to it sometime in the next couple of days. All right, everybody, I want you to join me tomorrow. My guest is going to be Brian Mark Taylor, and it's going to be a wonderful segment as well. Thanks so much for being here. I think that I got in all the little announcements I was supposed to make. If not, they may fire me and you'll see somebody else tomorrow. But I want everyone to have a beautiful rest of your day. Thank you.